right, so we are live for the first official Listen Up, You May Learn Something Today podcast. And I'm very excited for this. And I'm definitely looking forward to, what this can be, what this is going to be. I have a very, very, very special guest speaker coming up. She is a real estate mogul in Cleveland. And I'm definitely looking forward to, what hearing her story, her path, and what she's been able to accomplish so far. And I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy what she has to offer, and some other things that she's been able to accomplish so far. She is she's done a lot. Definitely somebody I look up to, and I'm just humbled and honored to have her on here. But one thing I do want to talk about, and what the goal for this podcast is, and where I would like to see it, and where hopefully it grows to is, I hope people obviously get something out of it. That's number one. But understanding that everybody has a different journey, everybody has a different path. Sometimes some people don't get started until later on in life. Some people have the luxury of getting started early on in life. Sometimes that fire in them burns out at a somewhat older age, midlife age, where you had that fire and passion when you were younger, and then now you go to quote unquote you lose that fire, and maybe hopefully this podcast will help relight that fire for some people. Maybe for some people this will light the fire and understand that anything is possible. We're all human beings. We all have the same 24 hours, but obviously some of us utilize it differently than others, and understand that anything is impossible, and anything is possible. Don't be afraid to chase after your dreams, chase after your goals, chase after your aspirations, chase after some things that maybe you were growing up you didn't think you'd ever be able to accomplish. I'm able to have this podcast studio and an apartment complex downtown Cleveland. The nice part about that is, I don't think I've imagined my life, here. At this point in my life, they valet my car. When people walk in, they say, "Man, it looks like you live in a hotel." Growing up, I don't think I would ever imagine that, but I think through hard work and dedication, anything is possible. And to kind of touch on where my motivation comes from. I know I've talked about it before, but I have a unique path in my life that got me to where I am. Again, I've talked about it before, but I was adopted, and I lost my mother at a young age, and never really knew my father. Met my father at my mother's funeral. First time ever, meeting him for what I remember. But didn't meet him till I was about, I want to say I was 13 at the time, and it's a unique thing, for somebody to go through, and I realize the opportunity that I have in front of me. If my goal can inspire others, if my goal, one of my goals is to inspire others. One of my goals is to, let people know that anything is possible. You can reach your full potential with anything that you do in life. Don't be afraid to give up. Don't be afraid to try. I think that's another thing too, right? I mean, I don't know where this podcast is going to go, but the first thing I'm going to do is try, right? Worst case scenario, I'm in the same position that I was when I got started. Best case scenario, I'm have a very successful podcast that, who knows, makes it to Apple's top podcast or whatnot. So I think it's important to understand that in life, we all are capable of extraordinary things, and we all are capable of living a dream that's honestly living a life that a lot of people can only dream of, a lot of people can only wish for and hope for, right? I mean, every single day you can wake up to somebody's vacation day, right? And what I mean by somebody's vacation day is you can wake up every single day and live the life that other people can only dream of, or they can only live on their vacation, meaning they get to not set an alarm, or they get to go eat at their favorite restaurant. you could do that every single day because maybe your financial obligation, you're financially set, or you have time freedom, or you are able to, you know, plan your life and plan things how you want. I think that's really important too, right? Like live a life by design, live a life that you want to live, not, living through other people or living for other people. I think that's important. And number one is, and I talk about this, is taking care of yourself, right? I mean, a car won't go, unless there's gas in the tank. Listen up for me and learn something today. I said a car won't go unless there's gas in the tank. And you can shine it up, you can make it pretty, you can, get it detailed and everything like that. But again, if there's no gas in the tank, it's not going to go anywhere. And that's the same thing in life, where a lot of times we focus on other people, we focus on other things that may not matter, but one thing that may be important is your happiness, your mental health, your well-being. And sometimes we lose sight of that. We lose sight of the aspect of, oh, well, I am a happy person all the time and I make sure other people are happy. But I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not doing things that make me genuinely happy. I'm doing things for other people. I'm running errands. I'm, trying to live my life, for other people. I'm doing things. Maybe I went to school for somebody else, or I went to do something that other people wanted me to do. That's, not always a good thing. I think it's important to, really strive, for, to be great, obviously, but to be great and to be happy, and to enjoy what you do. Because I think, money is important. And I've talked about this before. I think money, is a great tool to get you happiness. And understand that money is a tool to get you happiness, right? And I think a lot of people know my goal of $20,000 passive a month, but that's not what excites me. The $20,000 a month doesn't excite me. What excites me is what I can do with the $20,000 a month. I can focus more on podcasts. I can focus more on interviewing people. I can focus more on traveling. I can focus more on giving back. I can focus more on being a hockey coach. I can focus more, on being involved in hockey, more, whether that's, trying to buy an ice rink or starting a, countrywide campaign on how to grow the sport of hockey. I can focus on a lot of those things. Again, if you notice, I didn't talk about sports cars. I didn't talk about watches or jewelry or anything like that. That really doesn't motivate me, right? I mean, I think you hit a certain point, and I'm not saying I'm there yet, but, okay, I can buy the most expensive thing at Walmart, so why don't you get it, right? Well, because I don't need it, and I think it's, one of those things, a lot of people, sometimes it's the, scarcity mindset, right? When you give somebody who, maybe has never held $100, or maybe has never had $10,000 to their name, when they get it, it's exciting. It's an exciting thing because look at all the possibilities I can do with $10,000, right? And sometimes they spend it very quickly. The mindset of using it to invest, using it to save, it's not there because it's that scarcity mindset. I have to use it before I lose it. That type mindset. And with money, that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to think of it that way. It doesn't have to be this mythical thing, where, okay, I'll never see $20,000 and boom, one day I win the lottery and I hit $20,000. I'm just going to spend it all in one day. It's, understanding how money can work for you, understanding, how powerful money is and use it as a vehicle. And most importantly, I look at it as what can money do for me, not necessarily how can I spend it, what physical object can I get with money. It's, how can I utilize it? You give me $20. If I find $20, I'm going to figure out a way that's going to highest and best use this, right? Like $20. If I find $20 on the ground, highest and best use. So what is something that, I will be able to use for a very long time? Well, you can go to a thrift shop, right? And you can buy a sweater, that you're going to wear, let's call it, in the winter, 2-3 times, a week. That's highest and best use, versus, it's just your one Uber ride home, from the bar one night. Understanding how powerful money is and utilizing. And I think, there's different avenues on how you can obviously spend it, but, and how you can save it too. And breaking money down, let's just say you do make $1,000 a week. Okay. Maybe you use $100 towards quote unquote fun money and $150 towards savings. And, and then you can also take $100 towards aggressive money, where you can put it into crypto, you can put it into stocks, you can put it into bets, you can put it just that money where you can instantly double it or triple it. Again, I'm not saying specifically break it down into the 100, 150, whatnot, but figure something out. What makes sense for you? Maybe you save 100% of it. Maybe you spend a lot of it. It doesn't matter. But I think as long as you have a plan, as long as you have a system in place, you'll understand the value a little bit more, and how you don't always have to save everything, right? Because again, saving your way to being a millionaire will take a very, very, very long time, right? But if you invest your way into a millionaire, you can cut that in half, cut that in, a quarter. It may only take a few years versus, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or having to, wait for a retirement and get your company to match you and different things like that. There's obviously ways to, invest your money. There's slow ways, there's, fast ways. Obviously, a lot of people who know me know that I invest in real estate. Like real estate, understand real estate. Real estate works for me. It's a passive vehicle that I like to utilize, that I like to use. You never want to use the word safe with real estate, but it is something that for the most part I can control to an extent. Can't really control the stock market, right? Can't control that a big CEO gets caught up in a scandal and all of a sudden that stock plummets. I can't control crypto coins doing whatever they do, left, right, up, down, center, it doesn't matter. They're all over the place. So it's very hard to control that. But real estate, for the most part, I can control, right? I can control what products I put in there, whether it's vanities and flooring and type of paint. I can, and essentially not so much control the tenant, but I can screen very, very hard and figure out, okay, am I putting the best quality tenant, in my unit? Am I making the right maintenance, doing the right maintenance things? Am I, getting ahead of maintenance problems instead of just, being a proactive, landlord versus a reactive landlord? I talk about that a lot, being proactive versus reactive. Proactive is obviously taking the maintenance, changing these, changing screens, and the furnace filters, staking the drains, pouring Drano down, making sure that the units are cleaned. Just doing the necessary maintenance you need to do to upkeep and make sure everything is working at its highest and best use. I think that's something to, in everyday life, right? And it's the same thing with the car, right? Okay, am I getting my oil change when I need to? Am I putting, windshield wiper fluid, in, am I changing, my oil? Am I rotating my tires? Am I doing the things necessary to make sure that this vehicle that I depend on every single day is going to run? Because again, going back to what I talked about a little bit ago, is if you do not have the gas in your tank, the car is not going to go anywhere, no matter how pretty it looks, no matter what type of rims you have on there, no matter what type of engine you have on there, no matter how much you want to make it look pretty. If you don't have gas in your tank, it doesn't matter. And that's the same aspect of life. You can buy designer clothes, you can buy watches, jewelry, earrings, and shoes, and all this crazy stuff, and have $5, $10, $20,000 worth of merchandise on you. But again, if there's no gas in your tank, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. And when I mean that, is just fulfill yourself with happiness and fulfill yourself with things that you enjoy to do. If it's traveling, travel. If it's going for walks, go for walks. If it's just self-meditation, whatever it is you need to do to keep gas in your tank, do that. And I can't stress that enough, because sometimes we do get caught up in the day-to-day life. And I'm very guilty of it, I just go all the time. And I don't take a step back and just relax, reflect, and don't get so overwhelmed with what's happening. Again, I definitely try to be a go-getter and try to make every day better than the day before that. But also at the same point in time, you got to put gas in your tank, and whatever that is, whatever that gas is, whatever fuels you, whatever makes you happy, whatever you enjoy doing, make sure you're putting gas in your tank. And I think one thing that I think I do a decent job of is hanging out with friends and making that a priority, and building relationships and going to networking events and different things like that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go to as many networking events as I'd like to, but I think I do a good job of, you know, figuring out a way, figuring out different outlets, and going out and talking and meeting with people. Um, I think that's something that, I'm not going to say I'm the best at. Obviously, I don't know if there's the best at going out networking, but I enjoy it, and it's something that I make a priority. And where other people, it may not be that big of a deal to them, but to me it is, because it's something I enjoy doing, and it's an outlet, and it gets me out of, the everyday life. And another big one is hockey. I definitely enjoy playing hockey. I love coaching. I love being around the game, and that's something that I really take pride in. I time block for that, meeting from 11:45 to 12:45 every Sunday, every Saturday and Sunday. At least 90% of the time, I time block because I coach hockey. Coach real little kids, in Elyria, and I enjoy doing it. It's nice because it's a breakup of my day. My life is constantly revolving around real estate. I mean, not only am I a real estate agent, obviously I'm a landlord too. And when you're just constantly fielding phone calls and emails, about this new house, and do you have any off-market properties and different things like that. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy doing it, but you need to break that up. So when I walk into the rink, it's just like all my outside problems aren't there anymore. Whether I'm coaching or I'm playing, and nobody really talks about work. Nobody really talks about the problems that they're going through. We all kind of pick up right where we left off, and it's something that I enjoy doing, and that's why I time block for it, because I really do enjoy it, and it's something that puts gas in my tank. It fuels me. So I can polish my tires. I can get a new paint job, but you always have to constantly put gas in your tank, because no matter what, if you're not fulfilling the things that you feel are necessary, if you're not doing things that you think are, you know, that make you happy, you're never going to have gas in your tank. And eventually, what happens, when your tank doesn't have gas, obviously it stops running. And that obviously is a metaphor, but it can mean a lot of different things, right? I mean, from mental health breakdowns to just you feel sluggish, you get sick, right? I mean, the human body is so amazing on how it works and what it does. And sometimes we get sick. Oh, I just got sick out of nowhere. It's like, no, you just your body just goes, and you didn't give it a break. I noticed that too when I just traveled a lot, and maybe being at different airports, I'm sure played along with that. But my body just, listen, you need to listen to me. My body's telling me, hey, we are tired. You need to just chill for a second. And everybody's body is different, and I think, again, fueling that fire, doing things that make you happy. I always kind of say, people, well, I had a bad day. Well, what did you do to have a good day? Again, it's the analogy, you can't win the lottery if you don't play. Well, it's the same exact thing, right? You can't have a good day if you don't set yourself up for a good day. If you don't put things, into the future that maybe will make you have a good day, right? Okay, well, I applied for this, I applied for this job. I got the job. Okay, well, I didn't apply, therefore, I'm having a bad day. Um, you can always look at the negative, and no matter what, if you always look for something, listen, if you go looking for dirt, you're going to find dirt. I mean, it's very simple, right? If you go looking around your apartment, your house, or whatnot, you're going to find dirt. If you go look for trouble, you're going to find trouble. But what if you go look for good? What if you look for the positive? I really don't focus on the news or anything like that, but I try to focus on the positive and what's out there, and it's really helped me. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I try to be an even keel person. I try to always constantly focus on the good and focus on what's out there and what are the the good things that are happening. And I tell you what, I have a multi-million dollar business, and I hope somebody does it, and hopefully I can get royalties from it. But you just have a newspaper or a news outlet, and maybe it's already out there, but you just focus on the good. You focus on what positive things are happening. That's it. Just positive news. Positive news. There's a huge market, I'm sure, out there for people who just want to hear positive things on people who beat cancer, or there's a new through research we were able to cure this, or the rainforest has been rebuilt. Portion of the rainforest has been rebuilt, and we're able to build more trees, and we figure out a way to reduce the risk of I don't know, skin cancer, through a new lotion, just anything. And I think I think that'd be great. But that's what I focus on. So I don't listen to the news because I focus on the positives. So I like to read a lot of entrepreneur, focus on the entrepreneur app because that talks a lot about positive. Don't get me wrong, there's some negative things, but it does talk about positive and successful business people. And, I really try to, focus in on that. And sometimes, when we go into things, when we go into a business or we, try new things, we focus on the negative, right? We focus on okay, well, how can this go bad? And don't get me wrong, you have to do your research on things. I don't think you should just jump into anything and just not know what you're doing. But I think focus on the positive. One thing that, I, looked at, especially with, social media and social media influencing is how, realistically, what are the monetary values in this? How much, money can you make from this? Is this something that's feasible? And obviously, there's that aspect of it. That's not 100% why I do it, but there's that aspect of it. And you look at the big picture numbers, and listen, I had a video go 1.1 million views. There's no reason why, the video went 1.1 million views. It's no different than any other video that I posted. And, this is on TikTok. So my point is, you never know when that big break is going to come. You never know when that opportunity is going to come. Again, it's not like, TikTok sent me, a direct message basically saying, hey, we're going to take your video to 1.1 million views. It's just great. It happened, and I tried to, replicate, what I did for that video. The video has gone that way, but I'm assuming if I just constantly continue to do what I was doing, I'm hopefully going to have another video go that way. I don't just, I'm trying not to give up. Obviously I haven't posted too much content lately, and I'm trying to figure out this algorithm and how it works and what, is it twice a day? Is it 3 times a day? Is it, once a day? Is it once a week? Is it 3 times a week? So I'm trying to figure out the algorithm and what's going to make, things tick the best. But ultimately, yeah, I think just going out there and just trying something and doing something, and don't say what if and I wish and I wonder if and I can't believe that person is lucky, this and that. Listen, I have a pretty lofty goal, obviously, that I've talked about it in this, this podcast right now, but, the goal is $20,000 passive a month. Ultimately, I would love to have, live in, 2 different places. And I shouldn't say live in 2 different places, but I have 2 different places. And, that may seem pretty wild to people, but, again, that's my goal, that's my dream, and that's something that I'm working towards. And, $20,000 may, be a pipe dream for some people. Like that's, impossible to hit. Some people are saying, wow, that's a very small goal. If that's your end goal, that's a very small goal. You need to dream bigger. So, I think, goals and aspirations, it's different for every single person, but, it's important to have something. It's important to want something. It's important to work towards something. And, I think it's also, very important to understand that we all have different timelines. We all have different, things that got us to the point in our life that we're at, right? Again, I'm 33 and single, so, it's a lot easier for me to, sit here at 11 o'clock, 10:45 at night and talk about this video, right? And I worked, kind of all day, and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and work a little bit too. So it's very easy for me to do that because I don't have too many obligations, outside of work. I don't have kids, I don't have any pets or anything like that, and understand that, yes, I would love that stuff. But sometimes you look at other people's lives and say that person is lucky, but believe it or not, that person may be scrolling through your Facebook or your Instagram and saying, man, what I would give for that life, So I think, we can always say, we always want the shoe to be in another foot because it looks good, right? But obviously there's highs and lows to everything in life, but it's understanding that you're doing, if you're doing what you should be doing, right, it's okay. It's okay that maybe you're not where somebody else is, or you're not in the path that somebody else is going down. It's okay that you're working towards that goal. It's okay that you're working towards maybe saving up for that. Maybe you want to start a podcast and well, you just don't have the money, or you don't know where to get started, or maybe you want to do some sort of social media influencing, different things like that. But the fear of, okay, I don't know what content to put out. I don't know what to do. Again, film yourself, put it out there. Here's the thing, no matter what you do, there's always going to, obviously with the age of the internet now, you're always going to have opinions on what you do and how you should do it better, and people suggesting things. And, again, obviously you can take it to heart, you can take it as a grain of salt. I don't think that there is a right or wrong, way to do things. I mean, obviously there's no blueprint on, how to be a social media influencer, right? I mean, there's so many different ways and barriers, that you can break to get into it, whether it's beauty products or, you just want to review products, whether you want to do reaction videos, whether you want to, just, film content, film prank videos, do, just, get content on the street, interviewing people. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, and I don't think there's a wrong way. I think, the only wrong way is, when obviously you're disrespecting people or doing things, that, maybe put people in a negative light or anything like that. But I think it's important to understand that just getting started and figuring it out, obviously when I got started with the interviews, if you notice, my questions are all totally different, right? Because again, I didn't really realize that, a lot of the questions I was asking was just kind of, yes or no questions. So I'd ask somebody a question, they'd say like yes or no, or I'd get a very short answer. And then, I'm like, all right, well, that's not good. That's not good content. So I had to kind of modify the questions and again, ultimately you're trying to get views and you're trying to get subscribers and you're trying to get, more people to, follow you, and, you quote unquote have to give the people what you want, but also at the same point in time, I, have an end goal in my mind, and, I try not to, put myself in a different light that, may jeopardize, my reputation or, my career or, my family and whatnot. So, I have, younger nieces and nephews who, if they're not watching now, I know eventually they're probably going to watch my content, and, I want them to, be able to look up to, to me and have pride and, knowing that their, uncle is trying hard and, putting forth, effort, but also putting out great content, and something that they can watch too. And who knows, maybe one day I can show my kids, and one day they can show their kids, along with, other, friends, family, able to share my content and not be embarrassed by, sharing the content that I put out there. So, so I always obviously keep that in the back of my mind, and that's kind of why I do what I do. I ask the questions that I ask. I don't go down a different path where it may get me a little bit more views. It may, make me go a little bit more viral, but, also at the same point in time, I have a game plan for this. This is something that I want to do for a very, very long time, and, I want to be able to, speak in schools. I want to be able to speak in conferences. I want to be able to speak in, different groups, whether it's boys and girls groups or, just underprivileged kids or whatnot. And, I know that the path that I want to go on, I want to continue that. But, ultimately, the goal of this podcast, and I'm excited, I'm really excited for this, and it's something unique, something different. And I encourage people to try something new, try something different. And again, I understand that I don't have a lot of obligations, therefore, I can kind of up and go and just kind of live that nomad life of, okay, well, I'm done living here, I can live over here, and I'm done living here, I can live over here. But, I encourage you just to change your environment sometimes, change again. I have a couple of duplexes I own myself. I could have bought a house, but I decided to get an apartment downtown Cleveland. Again, I wanted to change the scenery. I wanted to change some things up. I've been living in the same spot for about 4.5 years. I'm not saying I was stagnant, but I wanted to push myself. I wanted to, push myself a little bit, and that's why I got this. I quote unquote a creative studio, podcast studio that I have here. And it got the creative juices going, on different perspective of what I'm able to see now living downtown, and the stuff that I'm able to do now, and the things that I'm closer to. It gives me just a different life perspective, and I definitely encourage people to do that if you can. Obviously, if you have a wife and kids, or a husband and kids and whatnot, it's going to be a little hard to get your own apartment downtown, or move across the states or whatnot. But I encourage you just to do something different. Whether it's maybe you create a studio, or maybe you start workout videos, or whatnot. But just push yourself and get out of your comfort zone. Again, you're not going to know how to do everything. I'm just starting this. I think I'm doing it right. I hear the audio in my headphones, so I think I'm doing it right. I'm not sure how it's going to come out on the on the video here, but I can definitely hear myself speaking, so I think I'm doing something right as far as recording it and whatnot. But yeah, I encourage people to get out of their comfort zone, do something different, and just try. Right? Go after your passion again. Fill your gas tank up. Whatever it is that gives you that gas to go every single day. Do it. And it can be something as simple as walking in the park, or working out or whatnot. But you have to have small wins in your life. I think the more small wins you have, the more fulfilled your life is. And those small wins will turn into eventually big wins, right? So, boom, you were able to save up $1,000 for the month. That's great. But what's your bigger goal? Okay, you want to buy a car. Nice. So those $1,000, after the course of 6-7 months, you're able to have a decent down payment for a nice car. Okay, boom, you've been saving up thousands of dollars. You're able to get to $15,000, $20,000. You're able to put that down payment on a house. So again, those small wins, and if you really break down your day into what is going to get me closer to my goal, and goal activities essentially is what I like to call them, is what goals did I small goals that I accomplished today, what small goals can I accomplish tomorrow that's going to get me towards my big goal. So obviously my big goal is $20,000, right? So what small goals am I accomplishing tomorrow? Okay, boom, I got this going on, I got that going on, I got this going on, I got that going on. Did all of those get me closer to my goal? Yes. Did some of those not? No, but those are necessary things, that I need to do. You can look at it as, okay, I went grocery shopping. Is that getting me closer to my goal? Not necessarily, but keep in mind at the same point in time, you need to, food, water, and shelter, right, in order to survive. So obviously that's part of the food. You're gathering, you're getting your food, and you're obviously getting, going to the grocery store, and you're feeding yourself. So you are getting a little bit closer to the goal, but it may not feel just like a goal-setting activity, because there are things that are necessary to you. And you may say, okay, well, I'm not going to hang out with my friends because that doesn't get me closer to my goal. Well, not necessarily. I mean, yes, you may not be doing goal activities, but you are building relationships. Again, you're adding fuel to your fire, or you're adding fuel to your gas tank, meaning you're making yourself happy, you're fulfilling your mind, you're fulfilling your your brain essentially with with happiness and things that you enjoy. And that's if you do like going out there. Obviously, if you're an introvert, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being an introvert, but if that's something that makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you have to find something that does make you comfortable. Maybe you're saving up for plants, or maybe you're saving up to do something by yourself, or something that you feel comfortable with. But adding gas to your gas tank is so important, and finding activities that make you happy is so important too. And I highly, highly, highly encourage every single person to just figure out what that is, again, and try to do a goal setting, or a goal activity a day, multiple goal activities a day. Actually, do multiple goal activities, a day, and understand that, use money as a vehicle, not so much as the end result, because, I don't necessarily look at, what $20,000, you could say, hey, Darren, I'm gonna give you $20,000 tomorrow. What's the first thing you're gonna buy? I couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is the goals that I'll be working towards, is, okay, boom, I can focus more on hockey. What I mean by focus more on hockey is I can focus more on maybe traveling to tournaments. I can focus more on, okay, I'm gonna be a head coach of a team. I can focus more on, okay, where can I travel around and talk to an ice rink, and hey, what can I help out with, whether that's monetarily or crowdsourcing, or what can we do to make this place better for the kids to come in and play, and get the best experience here, whether it's from an open skate standpoint, whether it's from a just hockey standpoint. Where can I best help you? What's my highest and best use for you? And again, it may not be a monetary thing. It may be, hey, listen, we need somebody to run our beginner program, or hey, we need somebody to do this. That's kind of where my mindset thinks when it comes to, okay, you've accomplished your goal, what's next? Well, I can tell you what's next. So just again, it's just so important to figure out what your goals are and generally what makes you happy, and strive to do that daily, and strive to figure out, what your unrealistic goals are. I think there's, realistic goals, and I think there's unrealistic goals, right? And my unrealistic goal I've talked about before is to give away $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a day. I'm sorry, $1,000 a day. And that unrealistic goal isn't just to hand over $1,000 to somebody. That unrealistic $1,000 goal is to, give people an avenue to change their life course and to change their life course of their family. Again, if somebody wants to, be a mechanic and they, can't afford to go to school for that, somebody wants to be a chef, somebody wants to do this, or somebody wants to do that, I want to be able to, help that person. Somebody wants to open up a business, I want to be able to help that person open up a business. Again, and yeah, the monetary value will be there, but, maybe get them a coach or somebody who's done it before, and somebody who will help consult them too. I think sometimes we jump in the water and we just, we try to swim, and, sometimes we drown. And I think, if you're there with a swim coach, right, you're not going to drown. Your swim coach can't always be there for you. But again, once you get comfortable, that swim coach can leave, and then you can tread water for your life, or you can swim to shore. And I think that's so important to understand that, giving people the opportunity is the ultimate goal. And I realized the opportunity that I was given. I realized that, where, I could have ended up. And, if I can kind of bring to light that and understand that we all aren't provided the same opportunities. I think we all know that. But I also want people to understand what they're capable of. Sometimes we take a step back and we realize, wow, my family, didn't do this or didn't do that, therefore I'm not going to. Well, again, that's not the case. And who says that? I talk about limiting beliefs, and I believe that's a limiting belief to believe that I'm not able to do something because somebody else, didn't do it. I, quite frankly, I don't. Obviously, I know what people around me are doing, and the accolades of, hey, you're in the higher percentile of this, or, hey, you're, a 33-year-old African American who was able to accomplish this. You're in this percent. I don't focus on that. I focus on getting better every single day. I try not to focus on what other people are doing. I definitely try to emulate, and, learn from successful people. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I definitely obviously follow people. I listen to people and different things like that, but I try not to, compare myself too much. I try not to give myself a pat on the back too much. I don't know. I don't know what, a lot of people have accomplished. I try not to focus in on that. I have no idea how many, people have started a podcast in Cleveland. I'm not sure. I don't know how many African Americans have started a podcast in Cleveland. I'm not sure, right? But I don't focus on those types of things. I focus on, okay, what's going to make me a better person? What's going to provide a better opportunity for me and my family? How can I focus in on getting to my goals faster? I try not to compare, myself, because again, you can, sometimes you do look up, you're like, oh my goodness, I was able to accomplish, a lot more than this person or that person, or, I'm in the higher percentile, or, I'm this, I'm that. And then what happens is you slack off, you start to plateau, because, okay, boom, I was able to accomplish this. And I'm kind of glad that I'm making this on the eve of LeBron potentially could, break the record for the most, points ever scored in the NBA. And perfect example is, I think you all know his mindset. He's not going to just stop there, right? He's not going to just do it, okay, and retire. He's going to keep going. Same thing with Tom Brady, right? Obviously, Tom Brady, has won multiple Super Bowls and arguably will go down as the best, quarterback to ever play the game. But he wanted to continue to play because he wanted to continue to prove, his legacy. He wanted to get better and better and better, and that's that drive, and that's something that you can't teach. Obviously, you can't teach somebody to want it. You can't teach somebody to be hungry. You can't teach somebody to want to be successful. All you can do is give them the tools and show them what success looks like. But ultimately, if they don't want to do it, then they don't want to do it. and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think it's really important to understand, to have that mindset, and training your mind to believe that anything is possible. Listen up, you may learn something today. It's very important to train your mind to believe that anything is possible, because if you don't believe it, nobody else will believe it for you, right? People will push you, don't get me wrong, but nobody can physically make you, really do anything, right? You can't physically make somebody graduate high school. You can't physically make somebody graduate college. Don't get me wrong, you can drive them there, you can make sure that, they're studying and doing the necessary thing, but you can't physically put something into somebody's brain. You can't physically, make them take that test. You can't take their arm and fill in the answers for them. So again, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Listen up, and you learn something today. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. And that's an analogy for every single day life. You can lead somebody to something, but you can't force them to do anything. And it's a message for a lot of people. Nobody can make you do anything, right? So it's up to you. And all you can do is focus in on you, right? And there's people who want to be successful, and again, I'm no life coach or anything like that, but I try to answer questions and talk to people as far as what I was able to accomplish and where I'm going and where I would like to go. But listen, I can't want it for you. And not only that, you can't focus on the people who don't want it either, right? I think it's you can only, it's save the ones you can, right? And I think that analogy goes to everyday life too. Focus on the people who want to help. Again, people will say things, oh, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to sacrifice, I'm willing to do that. It's like, boom, we'll meet me here at 7 a.m. tomorrow. It's like, I'm not a morning person. It's like, well, you don't want it that bad. And it's, again, it's an everyday life. You give people enough rope, to hang themselves, and that's it. So, ultimately, I'm excited for this podcast. I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see the journey and what happens with it. I don't know. Who knows? 100 episodes in, I could, be doing this in front of a live audience. I don't know, but I'm excited. I think anybody knows me. I'm gonna, put in the work to get it to where it needs to be. I'm excited for my first guest, Kelly. Breaking the news, but Kelly Stumphauser. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited for the journey, and I think that's what's most important. Is sometimes it's not about the destination, it's about the journey getting there, and that's one thing that I'm excited for. So I appreciate you guys. If you made it this far, thank you, and I'm looking forward to what happens next with this. So Darian Thomas, listen up, you may learn something today. Yeah, I am signing off. Peace.